investment advisory services offered through SWAN-Capital Management, LLC, a SEC-registered investment advisor. SWAN-Capital Management, LLC, and SWAN-Capital are independent entities.
What your money would say. Andrew McNair. Money Talks. Are you listening? Money Talks. Are you listening? Money Talks. Are you listening? What your money would say with Andrew McNair.
We're live here on What Your Money Would Say. I'm your host, Andrew McNair, and also the founder of SWAN-Capital. And for the next 30 minutes every Saturday from 12:30 to 1 o'clock here on WCOA 1370, I will be your retirement resource. My goal and my passion is to pull back the mysteries and all the complications about retirement planning and peel back the onion on estate planning. And don't forget, you can call in at 478-3116. It's free to call, so don't keep your questions a secret. Again, the lines are open, 478-3116. Today's theme is going to be rethinking retiring abroad. Now, before we do that, I want to share with you some upcoming events that we have. We have the Social Security Benefits Class 101, where on July 9th and July 11th, we're going to break down Social Security. We're going to talk about its design. We're going to talk about how your benefits work. We're going to talk about how to maximize those benefits. When should you take Social Security? 62, 66, or 70? Visit the SWAN-Capital.com events page and get educated and find out what the tuition is. I think it's about $35. And while you're there, follow us on Twitter, like our Facebook page, and sign up for our weekly newsletter so you can get straightforward market updates. Now, again, the topic today is rethinking retirement abroad, but we have a call from our audience. Now, we have Jack from Pensacola, and welcome to What Your Money Would Say, Jack.
Hi, Andrew. How's it going?
It's going outstanding. How can I help you?
Yeah, Andrew, I'm a few years out from retirement, and I'm wanting to invest, and I'm looking at CDs. The rates are low, and, the stock market's really risky, and, I don't know the first thing about CDs, or at least I don't know anything about bonds either, so I was really wanting to know which way I probably should turn.
Sure. And how long are you from retirement, Jack?
3 to 5 years.
Okay, so you're in what I call the retirement red zone. And when you get to the retirement red zone, it's important how we make our plays because the stakes are higher in retirement. If we take too much risk, like you said, in the stock market, we could have a lot of consequences and we could fumble the ball. Also, if interest rates are so low and we're trying to stay safe, we might not make enough progress with CDs. So I feel your frustration. But the big question is, how, as a retiree, do you win in a low interest rate environment? And you may have missed the shows a couple back where we talked about exchange traded funds. I believe for a retiree that you should have a conservative set of exchange traded funds or ETFs, and sometimes annuities if they're needed and necessary to beat these low interest rates. And in one particular, we talked about one that had a guaranteed 5% up front. So, Jack, if you stuck $100,000 in the first year, you'd get $105,000 going to work day one. And it would have a guaranteed 2% for at least 10 years on that 105. And you could take out 10% every year if you'd like to without any penalties. That's not too bad, huh?
Yeah, that isn't.
Now, again, I feel your frustration because CDs rates are so low right now. The average, I think, for a 5-year CD is 0.78%, and they're capping out at, I think, 1.5%. So 2% is pretty nice to know about. And you mentioned bonds. Now, if you don't know a thing about bonds, I encourage you to download our free white paper on SWAN-Capital.com. And it's called Bond Alert under the Get Educated tab under White Papers, and you can download that.
Yeah, we'll do that.
And also, if you have any more questions about those alternatives, because again, over a 30-minute show, to really find out what would be the best in your situation, it would take you dropping by the office. And I'd love for you to come in, leave your checkbook at home, and we'll share with you some alternatives, because we want to first and foremost educate you on those alternatives. So stop by sometime.
Great. What's your phone number at the office?
At SWAN-Capital, our office is 850-380-9558. That's 850-380-9558. Thanks for dropping by, Jack.
Thank you.
Well, Jack brought up a really serious question. What do you do as a retiree in this low interest rate environment? I believe you first and foremost slow down and think about your options. When it comes to retirement, you can't just invest in the stock market haphazardly, because when you're 3 or 4 years out from retirement, you can make a lot of mistakes. CDs, I call it in the office, certificates of disappointment, or GBS accounts, going broke safely. With CDs, you feel good because you're leisurely on the CD treadmill. You're jogging along, making 1%, and you feel good because it's FDIC insured. But the problem is you're not making any progress. And sometimes we're even going backwards because inflation rates are as high as 3%. So we got to be careful when we're getting close to retirement and just relying on 1% CDs. And also, they're not protected from lawsuits and creditors, which surprises a lot of people. Now, when it comes to bonds can be very complicated. That's why I wrote the Bond Alert white paper that you can get on SWAN-Capital.com and download that for free. And someone that's looking to go into the bond market, I would take and be apprehensive about it. Because right now, Ben Bernanke, and the Fed chairman, has been pushing down bond rates, interest rates artificially. And it's kind of like a spring. If you keep on pushing down that spring, there's a chance it could pop. And if it pops, investors are going to be in real trouble. That's why I think it could be the next bubble, the bond bubble. Because if interest rates rise, then investors only have a few options. The first option is sell at a loss. And you don't want to do that in retirement. You don't want to hope, as interest rates increase, that you have to sell at a loss. That doesn't sound like the retirement I wanted. The second option is hold them out to maturity. That sometimes means holding a bond out for 10 or even 30 years because they have bonds that last that long. And sometimes if you do that, your bond will outlive you. So those are not a lot of times able to do. If interest rates rise, you could get stuck in a real nightmare there. And that's the last thing I want for a retiree, is be stuck in that interest rate nightmare. So if you want to take action and you want to learn about some alternatives, like that alternative I shared with Jack, about how you can earn a guaranteed 5% up front in the first year and 2% guaranteed, and still be able to take out 10% every year for emergencies if you'd like. If you want to find out more information about alternatives like ETFs, give us a call at 850-380-9558. That's 850-380-9558. And again, if you have any retirement or estate planning questions, I encourage you to give the show a call. Give What Your Money Would Say a call at 478-3116. That's 478-3116. And again, today's topic is retiring abroad. And I'm going to bring on Mayor Ashton Hayward in just a few minutes. But my clients and family always ask me, Andrew, do you think it's a good idea to retire abroad? That's a tricky one. We all want that perfect retirement location. We want the beautiful tropic weather, the sandy beaches, the good food, and, of course, cheap costs of living. And I just woke up from my daydream because it's hard to find something like that exists. We see magazine clip outs of Costa Rica or move to Belize. But, not always the green grass over there is as green as we thought it was. And sometimes it becomes a mirage. So that's why I wanted to bring on Mayor Ashton Hayward to share with us why Pensacola is a place to retire. Now, just like Mayor Ashton Hayward, this is my hometown, and this is home for me. Now, a lot of families are transplants. From this community, we have a lot of military branches and a lot of military bases that bring in visitors, and we have job relocations that a lot of people, this isn't their home. And I want Mayor Ashton Hayward to make the case on why this is still the place to retire. Thanks for coming on the show, Mayor Ashton Hayward.
Thank you, Andrew. It's a pleasure to be here.
I want to first, congratulate you on all the progress you've made on revitalizing Pensacola. The downtown area, I know it's a team effort, having the city council, the downtown improvement board, but working together to really have refurbished some old buildings, brought on new buildings, so you've done a really good job.
Well, I appreciate it. It has been a team effort. I mean, you look at Pensacola, and one of the biggest challenges any elected official is, of course, we all have platforms when we run for office, but the most important thing is selling the city and the citizens here to change the culture that we can be successful, we can have an incredible town, And I think that's what you're seeing is people are excited about Pensacola again. A lot of the people that are investing in our community are not native Pensacolians. And that's exciting because they see the value of our city. They've traveled, they've lived in other cities, and they see what potential we have, and now we're realizing that potential. And I think that's the most important thing, because people want to run downtown. They want to walk their babies and push them in strollers. They want to eat outside and sit outside. They want to see the water. They want to really have that experience. You know, you work 9 to 5 and others work, longer hours. And the most important thing is when they get off, they want to enjoy their city because truthfully, they want to see it work because they're the taxpayers. And that's one thing that's on my mind every morning when I pull out of my driveway is, the taxpayers need to benefit. And I've had some, successes. My wife and I work hard and we pay taxes. So it motivates me that much more to make sure our city's going to look good. It's going to be attractive for others that visit. And most importantly, the people that pay the freight. So there are a lot of great things going on.
You attract a lot of families just through the Navy, but we want to make sure that they plant roots here and that they stay here. So why is Pensacola a great place to retire? You said a couple things, but can you expound on that?
Well, for one, we're the Sunshine State, as our state, and there's no state income tax, which is a huge win. And you look at Pensacola, which Northwest Florida is the fastest growing part of Florida. And for so long, we're known as a Navy town, and we are a military town, and we're extremely proud of that. But what you're seeing is a lot of folks that came through here in the Navy and the other parts of the military now are coming back because I think, from a leadership standpoint, they're seeing that the people that are in leadership roles now want to see Pensacola be successful. They want to grow our town. They want to invite businesses to here. You have to have a business-friendly environment, and you have to open your arms to business because they're the risk takers. Small businesses in America are creating the most jobs. They're the backbone of America. And a city like Pensacola has so many assets. You have 2 national seashores. You have Pensacola Bay. You have a walkable downtown. It's the first settlement in America. You have Pensacola State College. You have Pensacola Christian College. You have University of West Florida. The people that live here, they care. They want Pensacola and the people that live here to be successful. And now more than ever, people are knowing that we don't have to have inferiority complex. We are a hell of a place to live, work, and play. And I think that's what I try to preach, every single day. We want our risk takers to take up here. I mean, plenty of guys and gals have moved back and started their own business. Tad Inns is a perfect example that owns Avalex. Tad moved away, was living in Atlanta, but he saw the quality of life. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why, if you look at it from a global picture, so many people live in California because the weather's great and the quality of life. They're having some major issues out there. Right now, we should start plucking those businesses and say, hey, come to Florida. And that's the great thing about Pensacola. It is a great, place to live. Our airport's phenomenal. We serve more than 1.5 million passengers a year. Our hospitals are amazing. You can get somewhere in a matter of 10 minutes. That's incredibly important when CEOs and people are looking to relocate. And our main objective now is to welcome those people and say, hey, we want you in Pensacola. Small towns are great, but you can have a quality small town where we're welcoming people from the outside.
And you've made a great case for the retirees out there. Now, for a family that, on the other hand, is just starting a family, why should they start family here? You mentioned some of those job growth opportunities.
Sure. The truth is obviously every day we're talking about retaining our young people in Pensacola. And it is a struggle and it is a challenge. We want to obviously have more jobs in Pensacola, and we want more businesses looking at Pensacola. A perfect example is Navy Federal Credit Union.
Sure.
The CEO, Cutler Dawson, he came through here when he was in the Navy. He knew the potential here. And so you know what? He took a gamble, and he started moving the business down here, moving parts of it down here. The campus on 9 Mile Road would rival anything out in Silicon Valley. I mean, it's just a fact. The architecture, the materials, the people, the jobs that they've created. They're going to have 10,000 jobs out there by 2020. That's phenomenal.
It's incredible. My brother and my sister-in-law work out there. So I'm thankful that he took that chance.
And it's a big win. Debbie Calder that runs it here locally, she's fantastic. They care about the community. They're looking at open other locations in the city, and obviously that's out in the county. But hey, the city is in the county. We need to promote the benefit of the region to be successful. And Pensacola is the driver, financially, legally, culturally, and that's what we try to tell people. But the young people, we do need to get more jobs here. We shouldn't dance around that question, and that's my job as the mayor and as a leader is to reach out to people and say, hey, listen, bring your businesses here. Let's create a funnel, if you will, of the kids getting out of the university system where we can train them on job training. That's incredibly important. The aerospace industry, we're going to have benefit from Airbus and Mobile. They want to be, close to a little over 50 miles outside of where they are for the suppliers. So, training the workforce within the university system to get those people ready when those jobs come, and I think they will be coming here in the next year to 5 years in a big way in the aerospace sector. There's no secret we've been chasing a little bit of that business at the mayor's office, and we'll continue to do that.
You brought up a great point about leading the charge, and it takes momentum to, change that old way of thinking. When I talked about to my clients, and even my 92-year-old grandfather, who's a native here, about bringing on Ashton Hayward, he said, Andrew, since I've lived here my whole life, he says, it seems like, sadly, that Pensacola is against growing, that there's some stigma that we can't shake off about small town thinking. Ashton, how is it about leading that charge? How is it building that momentum? You've done a great job. How do you plan on continuing that?
Well, Andrew, I'm a native Pensacolian and extremely proud of it. I did move away, when I got out of school and was living in New York City, and then came back and started my own business with a childhood friend. And, I had all this energy. Living in a city like New York is crazy, because for 10 years, from the time you're 23, 24 to 34, it kind of defines on how you think and what you want to do in life. And I came back to my hometown with all this energy, wanting to be successful. And I kind of saw the same old things kind of, you had 6 to 10 people, as I like to say, exchanging money and doing deals. And we were becoming a rest stop off I-10. And so when you look at the assets and you say, all right, I have I-10, I have the beach, I have the water, I have the walkable downtown, I have the airport, we need to have everyone benefiting and enjoying that, not just, because you got to grow to be successful. And that's what we're trying to do now, is get the story out there where people know where Pensacola is. And when people come here to look at doing business, they're blown away that they hadn't heard about Pensacola. And truthfully,
it's a well-hidden secret.
It's a big secret. It's the diamond in the rough in Florida, in my opinion, and in the Southeast. And if you look across America, what cities are great that you look at population. This is a perfect example. You look at Boulder, Colorado. People love Boulder. You look at Telluride, Colorado. You look at Asheville, North Carolina. You look at small towns in California. I mean, just because you have a large population doesn't going to mean you're going to be successful.
Sure.
So
look at Detroit.
Yeah, look at Detroit. That's a great example. I mean, we can quantify that by being a small town feel, but doing quality things, whether it's business, whether it's politics, being intelligent with that, all those things that people look for in a community. And your grandfather's right. People buy on emotion. And when people feel good, they spend money. There's no secret. And that's the whole purpose, the last 2.5 years is delivering to the people, but also changing the psychology that, hey, listen, we are successful. This is a great place to live. We just got to, get the word out there. And collectively, it's okay to disagree, but let's collectively say we got to win together.
Right, win somehow.
We got to win. And, you can call me Ashton, you can call me Mayor, you can call me whatever, but I want to win for the community. And I think that people have seen that the last 2.5 years is, I'm truly about the city being successful. And, you treat everyone the same way, whether it's the guy mowing the grass for the city or people that come in to look at open up a business to the city. They all have ideas, opinions, and they want to be successful. And that's what we're trying to do here.
Now, is it hard balancing, keeping Pensacola a great tourist spot, also a growing economic center? How do you balance that?
Well, most importantly, it's an added benefit. If I go down to Miami with my family, of course, I want to swim in the Atlantic Ocean, run around. You get a little bit of sun, but then you want to go look at the rest of South Florida or Miami, whatever it may be. I mean, that's just an added value that we have. So when you and your family come, you can go to the beach and enjoy that. But however, you can go look at the history in downtown Pensacola, or you can go out to the Naval Museum, which in my opinion rivals the Smithsonian. I mean, we have so much history. You can go to the Blackwater River. I mean,
I was there yesterday.
Yeah,
I got the tan.
We have great forts. All the history. People love history. My in-laws are from Europe. They know so much about Pensacola, and the history is amazing. So again, that's getting the story and getting the messaging out there. And I think all your listeners know, Andrew, if you control the message and get the message out there, people will buy, and that's what's incredibly important.
2014 is the number. We have the election coming up. What are some issues that you're looking forward to solving?
Well, I think, again, it gets back to that culture issue here in Pensacola that we should attract big business. We should attract, anywhere from the healthcare to technology. There's obviously a plethora of businesses out there that we want to come to Pensacola. But the unique thing is I think we're all focused on growing Pensacola, the region, Northwest Florida. One of the things I like to say is we need to be the capital of Northwest Florida. We need to drive everything. We did, 100 years ago. Now we're getting that, that energy back where people are taking it seriously. One thing I try to do is travel the Panhandle. Of course, I'm in Tallahassee a lot. I've been able to build a great relationship with Governor Rick Scott. I think your elected officials, you need to have those relationships in Tallahassee. And, of course, Jeff Miller, our congressman. I'm not one to be shy, so I think it's incredibly important to let them know that we have great people in Pensacola. We want to be successful. We need those benefits. When you look at government, we don't need a lot of government, in my opinion. You got a lot of layers sometimes, but we want to let them know that our leaders in Tallahassee and D.C., that we are here, and we need to benefit from your leadership in Tallahassee in the Fed level. And one thing that I'm going to continue to do is build that relationship in Tallahassee, because working with DOT has been a tremendous hit for us. I mean, obviously the grants that we've gotten from Governor Scott is important, but you got to let them know that you're out there, and you got to beat on that door, so squeaky wheel gets the grease. So it's incredibly important for us. And so I'm going to continue to do that. It's continue to get the word out about Pensacola. If there's a business opportunity, I'm going to get on an airplane, I'm going to get in my car, and I'm going to go talk to those people. It's like when you're starting, in any business, there's a lot of small businesses in Pensacola. You got to get the word out there. People getting on your show, your clients. It's incredibly important. So, mayors across America, I think all your listeners know, we want to make sure the trash gets picked up. We want to make sure your gas is turned on. We want to make sure your parks look attractive. We want to fill the potholes. We want to pave the roads. That's where your taxes go to. But the most important thing is to have a business-friendly environment. And that's one of the things that I talk about all the time, because it's important. People come and go in all aspects of life, but we got to focus on being successful. And I'm going to continue to do that when we run again.
Well, again, Ashton, Hayward, I want to thank you for leading the charge, building the momentum of revitalizing Pensacola, and thanks for making the case why retirees should stay and retire here in Pensacola.
The cost of living is amazing. So all you retirees out there, I lived in one of the most expensive cities, not in the United States, but in the world, and you got city, state, and federal taxes. So the great state of Florida, most importantly, the greatest city, Pensacola, Florida, that is, all you retirees, we want you here. We don't want you down to the east of us. I know there's a few of you out there, but come to Pensacola. We have an incredible city, and we want you here.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate it.
What your money would say. Today's financial landscape can be rough. One of the most important aspects of planning is choosing the right guide to help you navigate the road to retirement. Andrew McNair and the team at SWAN-Capital is dedicated to providing the very best service in the retirement planning industry today. SWAN-Capital is a full-service independent wealth management firm dedicated to providing guaranteed custom income plans that you cannot outlive. Contact Andrew McNair at SWAN-Capital 850-380-9558. That's 850-380-9558. The difference between SWAN-Capital and you retire once. We help people retire every day. You should be enjoying your retirement years, not letting worry keep you up at night. SWAN-Capital. Sleep well at night. Contact Andrew McNair at SWAN-Capital 850-380-9558. That's 850-380-9558. Again, that's 850-380-9558.
The Veteran Benefit Project, founded by Andrew McNair, president of SWAN-Capital, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping veterans and widows of veterans with long-term care expenses by qualifying for the VA's Aid and Attendance Benefit. Learn how to receive over $24,000 per year from the VA towards long-term health care. There is absolutely no fee associated with our assistance to the veteran, the widow of a veteran, their families, or any retirement community. Our goal is to preserve the dignity of the veteran and to reduce the dependency on the Medicaid system. Again, learn how to receive over $24,000 per year from the VA. Contact the Veteran Benefit Project 850-380-5137. That's 850-380-5137. 850-380-5137. Look us up on the web, veteranbenefitproject.com. At the Veteran Benefit Project, we are committed to helping you secure the benefits you deserve.
Retirement expert Andrew McNair. Changing the retirement paradigm. Now back to what your money would say. Brought to you by SWAN-Capital.
Welcome back to What Your Money Would Say. Hope you enjoyed that interview with Mayor Ashton Hayward as we spoke about how Pensacola is still the place to retire. As Ashton told you about, Pensacola is growing. And downtown, as you can have seen, it's been revitalized. Old buildings have been refurbished. New ones are being built. Pensacola is not dead, and we're still growing. If you missed part of this interview, make sure that you check out SWAN-Capital.com under the Get Educated tab, radio show tab. We always keep a podcast of every radio show. But before the interview, we were talking about something very important for retirees, and that is how to survive in a low interest rate environment. We had a caller from Jack, who is a retiree only a few years out from retirement. And his same fear is the fear from a lot of clients and families that come into my office. They say, Andrew, how do we navigate through this low interest rate environment? Now, there are options out there. He even brought up some CDs, stocks, bonds. And I told you about CDs. CDs are GBS accounts, going broke safely. You feel good about CDs because they're FDIC insured. You can get 1% rate return. But the problem is inflation is averaging 3 to 4% over time. So you feel good, but you're going backwards. You're on that CD treadmill. And I want to just encourage retirees out there to get off, because there are some alternatives out there. And, you're worried about taxes, and I even had a client talk about burying their money in the backyard. This is real life, and wanted to get a safe and stick it in there. That's not the way, because even if you do that, over time, you're just going to have a big safe full of just worthless paper. Because as inflation erodes your purchasing power, that's all you're going to have. So we have to grow money. That's a positive. The second is stock market. When it comes to retirement, and this might be controversial, but I don't believe you should have a lot of money in the stock market in retirement. You just can't take the chance. When you're 3 or 4 years out from retirement, you're in what I call the retirement red zone. And I help people retire every day, and this happens for you once in a lifetime. I've seen the horror stories. I saw too many people in 2008 get wiped out because, and it's like old Warren Buffett said, you find out who was skinny dipping when the tide goes out. And I don't want to see people get caught up there with their clothes on the fence posts anymore. It's time to pull up our britches and get out of the stock market, because in retirement, you just can't take the risk. Also, people are flooding the bond market as we speak, and that could be the next potential bubble, is the bond market. Interest rates have been artificially pushed down by Ben Bernanke for too long, and it's like a spring. It could coil, and it could bounce and affect a lot of families. And when interest rates do rise, what's going to happen to the families that have their funds invested in bonds? Yes, they're enjoying the income now, but if interest rates rise, they only have two options. And the first option is sell at a loss. The first rule in investing is not to lose money. And we just violated that in the first option. The second is, as interest rates rise, we have to either hold the bond to maturity. And that could mean 10 or 30 years of holding the bond. Our bonds could outlive us. And we don't want that in retirement. So when it comes to a low interest rate environment, please seek a professional. Seek a specialist that helps retirees conserve their finances like we do at SWAN-Capital. Give us a call at 850-380-9558. That's 850-380-9558. And remember, What Your Money Would Say is a live show. The phone number, you can call us anytime during the show, 12:30 to 1 o'clock here on WCOA 1370, and give us a call at 478-3116. That's 478-3116. And we'd be happy to answer your questions about retirement and estate planning. Before I sign off today, I want to share with you again our upcoming events. We have our Social Security class, which is going to be at UWF, and I believe the tuition is about $35, and it's a 2-day class, July 9th and July 11th, and we're going to just peel back the onion on Social Security. We're going to talk about what is Social Security, when was it invented, what was it designed to do. We're also going to talk about how to maximize benefits, when to select Social Security. If you're a retiree out there, do you retire at 62? Do you retire at 66? Or do you retire at 70? Those are important questions. I look forward to seeing you next week on What Your Money Would Say as we dig deeper into retirees' issues. Have a good weekend.